Well, oh shit. Well, as a matter of intro, I can only say I hope that Godot doesn't crash on me this time. But just in case it does, I set it up so that it won't show my desktop. OBS won't just show my desktop when I do. Because for as much as I have excellent taste in desktop backgrounds, not everybody's bound to agree with that, with my taste in fucking mostly anime, let's be honest. Anyway, yeah. Here I am, back with the streaming, more importantly, back with the game developing. Yeah. Man, it's always the same issue, right? When I start the stream where I have to spend some 10 minutes remembering what the hell I was doing last time and how I was doing it and what I was planning to do. Oh, yeah. Also, I'm looking at the face capture now, and I'm realizing that I forgot to set up the eyebrows so that the eyebrows move. I'm gonna write that down right now so that I remember it for next time, because God, if I don't write it, I'll just completely forget. Alright, there we go. It is written. Okay, so what was I doing last time on the game? Oh, you can't see the screen when I set it up like this. Okay, hold on, give me a second. Oh, wrong screen. Okay, yeah, I just gotta make sure to set up a thing before. Okay. Yeah, so you should now be able to see the game window when I start it up. Yeah, okay, it takes a bit, but it's only half a second, which is better than when I was using Love. For some reason, the screen capture on that took its sweet time to even appear. And now it's just stuck in the Godot. Huh. Okay, this OBS window detection may not be as good as I hoped it would be. It's picking up my mouse. What's going on? What the hell is going on here? Well, now it's working. But if I close it and open it again, this is just extreme technical difficulties. Yeah, this isn't exactly workable. Hold on. Why do you only update when I do specific things? Yeah, that's not how it should be. Okay, well, here's the other thing I can do. Be right back again. Okay, hold on. What? I'm encountering technical difficulties that do not make sense. Please hold. Yeah, why can't anything ever be simple? The issue is that this... Well, now it did it, but I can't be sure that it'll do it every time. It's doing it now. Okay, well, let's trust that it'll keep doing it and just move on. If not, I'll just change it to how it was before. Yeah, it's working now. I don't know what the hell I did. As far as I'm concerned, everything is exactly the same. Well, okay, so here we are. The good thing is... Oh, Jesus. The good thing is, all that messing around did do a good job of reminding me what we were doing last time, and that was deciding on bullet patterns, or rather the way that bullet patterns are going to be working, right? So the first thing that I want to do, right, is implement the bullet patterns that were present in the game before, in the previous version of the game. That's what I want to do. But the thing is that in order to do that, I need to do a couple different things in order to... Oh, geez, that was completely... I need to do a couple things in order for it to properly work the way that it was working before, right? That is because the bullets need to have a couple of features that they don't have right now. So in particular, the most important one is bullets need to curve. They need to turn as they go forward. Right? So it becomes a question of how do I handle that. Well, first of all, the bullet script needs to handle that, right? Obviously. So we have the enemy bullet here. Oh god, my throat hurts. Like, I've only been here at this for a little bit and I'm already feeling my throat a bit sore. I may have to just cut this stream short. I don't want to do that. No, okay, we'll just maybe be a little bit less chatty this stream. Okay, so what I want to do is have it so that the bullets can just sort of curve. As of right now, really all they do is move to the right, and because it is a relative right, that is fine. So all I need to do is change the angle, right, as it does that. That shouldn't be difficult, right? So that'll be, let's see, we need a variable that can be exported, and this is angle or rotation speed actually, rotation speed load, and this would be in degrees per second because that's easier to work with. And positive is clockwise. Well, actually, it's just whichever order it does it here, but I think positive is clockwise anyway. So then, before each, it's a good thing that this is in physics process because I can use delta. Before each delta update, you're going to rotate yourself by the amount given in rotation speed. So it should be variable and rotation should be equal to, oh god, and rotation should be equal to what? Should be equal to rotation degrees plus speed times delta. Speed, and that should be all it is actually. Just speed times delta. And then, yeah, and then apply the rotation and then apply the transform. So rotation degrees equals and rotation. Honestly, passing it over through this variable, it's a bit of a pain, but it just makes stuff easy. Like if I need to this number for something later, I can just have it here. It just makes it easier later, maybe, potentially. Yeah, that should be it. So now the meme is that if well, this allows these bullets to have that capacity, but they're not going to be spawned with these numbers unless we have a bullet resource that tells that to happen. So we have to add that to the way that the bullet resource script works. So we need a variable for that, right? Export var rotation speed, let's say float right here, and things for p rot speed and rotation speed equals p rot speed, and we're gonna default it to a value of 0. Like that. So now our bullet resources have a rotation speed parameter, and now we have to make sure that when one of these is spawned by, who is it that spawned these again? The angel, right? Surely, yeah, it's the bullet spawner. It's this script. So when one of these is spawned, which should be in spawn single bullet, yes, it's going to be setting the bullet speed. So new bullet point rotation. It fucking crashed again. It fucking crashed again. How long did it take that time? 18 minutes, and the fucking hellos were just me fucking around. This never happened in Windows. Is Godot just really that unoptimized for Linux? I would have thought it would be the opposite. I would have thought that, you know, this kind of free open source software would be primed for Linux. Mostly because nerds are working on it, you know what I mean? And the window is frozen on OBS. Why must you be like this? The other one's gonna be frozen too, isn't it? No, it's not frozen. Okay, that's good. So look at it. It's working, kind of. I mean, that's not what's supposed to happen, but that's because I left the script halfway done. So... Shit, where was I? Yeah. How much did I lose on that? Well, the enemy bullet has the parameter, and it clearly is doing something with it because the bullets were spinning. The resource script has... No, it doesn't. Okay, so this one didn't get saved. At X... Port var... Rotation speed float... P rod speed equals 0.0. Rotation speed equals P rod speed. There you go. With an O, save that. Then go to the angel, go to the bullet spawner, and make it so that they actually use that number to set the rotation. So new bullet point rotation speed, it should be called. Yeah, this new bullet is of type... Well, actually, let's just set it. So as bullet, right? And we can just give that class name in here. So enemy bullet here. Give it a class name bullet, and that makes it so that the autocomplete works better on the thing. So now you go here. There you go. So now it's going to show me that rotation speed parameter as I try to type it. There you go. See? So rotation speed is going to equal the thing that is set in the bullet params. So bullet point rotation speed. They have to be the same, basically. Right? And so... Ooh, I just thought of something fun. What if I allow a rotation speed curve, and so it'll set the rotation speed through its lifetime according to the curve. Basically, it will just feed the curve to an animation player that will play with that parameter in order to get bullets to just curve. Okay, like if we're gonna do that, let's do that later. So right now, that should make it so that all the bullets just head straight. And they're not doing that. Why are they not doing that? If the speed is 0, right, the rotation... Oh, because I gave it speed when I should have given it rotation speed. There you go. So there should be no change, they should be going straight. Right. But the fact that that error was happening at all, right, tells us that the variable was working. So what if I give it a rotation of, let's say, 90 degrees per second? Right, because... Shit, I forgot. Okay, so in order to test our attack system, let's make it so that it spawns one of the rotating bullets and one of the normal bullets, and see if that lets it, right? So that's a good test case for this thing. So we have this default bullet, and we want it to be... We want a new of these, so let's create a new resource of type bullet parameters. Yes, and this is going to call just rotation bullet. We're going to be deleting these later probably because these are not going to be very useful. Also change the name to match the rotation bullet. This is basically the same as the default. I don't know why I should have just copied it. Duplicate. And this is going to be rotation bullet. right? So the idea is this is just the same bullet, but I tell it it's gonna rotate 90 degrees per second. And then the basic attack is going to consist of 3 bullets that are of these 2 types, right? So it should be one, then the other, then the one, right? The middle one should rotate, that's what we're thinking of. Okay, it works! Obviously the bullets are just staying there forever, which is not exactly what I will want, but, it's a good sign. So, there are a couple other things that I want these bullets to be able to do. Obviously, if they are rotating a set amount and they're always rotating that same amount, then their trajectory is going to go in a circle, right? Which means that they're never going to hit the borders, which means that they'll be active forever. So, two solutions to this. We could either give them a set lifetime beyond which they will just die. That is one solution. Or the other is that we make it so that they aren't going the same rotation forever, and instead they just kind of change their trajectory. That last one seems like a better solution to me because it allows me, if I do it right, to have bullets that move in wacky patterns just using the same behavior. So it's not just a method for the bullets to clean themselves, it's also just it also just allows me to play with more wacky patterns in the game making. So the idea that I have for doing this is I could just give the bullet a rotation speed and a rotation factor. So the idea being that the idea is that they rotate the amount that is in rotation speed times the amount of rotation factor, and the amount of rotation factor is just given by a custom curve resource. And the idea of this is that then I can make bullets with the same curve, so they follow the same path, but they move more or less erratically by a number that is just the amount, the maximum rotation amount that I give them. If I manage to do this, then I would like to implement this as well for speed, because if I implement it for speed, I can have bullets that move like in all sorts of ways. But let's just keep it short for now and have a bullet move given by a curve. And our test for success is going to be if we're able to make a bullet that follows just a wavy pattern that just goes back and forth, right? So, first of all, we need to set up this curve and have the bullets be able to follow it. So, first of all, we're going to need a variable. This is going to be rotation factor. This is a float. And we're going to multiply it by rotation factor. Rotation factor by default should just be 1. That is just... This is the default value. And that basically makes it so that it has no effect, right? Multiplying something by 1 means no effect, no difference. Then we have to make it so that this rotation factor can be controlled by a curve. Now, how in the hell do we do that? Well, my first instinct is that animation. This is how I would do it in Unity, just with animation curves. And we do have an animator component, but to be honest, that feels a little bit like overkill. So I'm wondering if there's a better way. Well, to begin with, Godot does just have curve resources, right? That are used in more than just animations. For example, here, curve. New curve, right? So you see this? Well, actually you don't see it because it's right below my model, but you see this? So these are curves. They go from 0 to 1. Yeah, they go from 0 to 1 on the x-axis, and whatever numbers I set here in the y. And this big resolution kind of means nothing to me. And I can define points on them, right? So having had this curve, and I can set it here in this resource things. In fact, let's create a new folder here that is going to be called curves, because they're useful for more than just bullet patterns, right? So let's say we have a curve that starts at 1 and then decays or very quickly after a little bit. So like this. So in our case, this should be a this basically gives us a bullet that curves for a bit and then stops and then goes straight, right? So here's the thing, how much time should it should it spend following this curve, right? Well, first of all, does the curve loop? Yes or no, right? So like once you get to the end of this curve, do you begin following the curve again? So do you set this value? The idea, yeah, right. The idea is that each point in this curve equals a value that we're giving to this rotation factor, right? I kind of get into over my head and then don't explain very well the things that I'm doing, right? I mean, I'm sure that if you know mathematics at a very fundamental level, this is obvious, but that's not the case for everybody. Not everybody's good at it, so I like to make this accessible to people, right? These explanations. Partly because it helps me program, right? Like, if you can explain it in a way that's really elementary, that means that you're gonna have a better time coding it, because, you know, explaining things step by step is kind of how you have to program. So what I'm trying to say, right, I have this new type of resource, that God lets me create, that is a curve. This is this thing here, and I get to set it from here. I get to set as many points as I want in it. The thing is that these are just numbers, right? These are just number pairs, right? And how to read them, that whatever. Godot can use it for many things, but now I'm trying to use them in a custom script. So I'm gonna have to just kind of extract it. But what I'm hoping to use this curve for is for these values to represent this value, this rotation factor value, this rotation factor number that I'm now multiplying to all of this. That is what defines how the bullet is going to curve. So the idea is, if the rotation factor is 0, then you're completely nullifying the rotation speed, which means that the bullet is going to go straight no matter what value you're giving in rotation speed. If the rotation factor is 1, then the bullet is going to curve at the value that is given rotation speed, because something times 1 equals the same thing, right? And if you give like 0.5, then it's only going to curve by half of that, right? So the idea is, I can assign this rotation factor over time to different points on this curve. So let's say that I make it over the course of 1 second. It's going to be, right, on second 0, the value is going to be 1. On second 1, the value is going to be 0, right? 0 on this curve, on the y-axis. So I can make it so that the bullet is curving, whoop, and then it stops curving smoothly, right? Or somewhat smoothly. So that's the idea. So there are a couple of things that I need to define. First of all, should it loop, right? Some bullets it should, because if I want it to go like in this sort of wavy pattern, then I want it to loop. I don't want it to just stop changing the value. But in this case, where I want it to just curve for a bit and then start going straight and then keep going straight, I don't want it to curve. So I'm going to need to define that probably per bullet, right? So at export loop curve, right? And let's just make it loop rotation curve, right? This is going to be a boolean. So we have that. The second thing is, how long should this take? These curves kind of only let me write values from 0 to 1, don't they? And I may want loops that take longer than that. I don't see a way here to just make this longer, but I have just a hunch that the 2D curve is what does that. No, it isn't. What the fuck is this? What? Hold up. What even is this? Oh, this is just mathematical. Hold on. Isn't the 2D curve a plane? Position. Oh, these are mathematically defined. This is a curve. This is a 2D curve in 3D space, isn't it? Which means that it's not going to be able to be displayed here very smoothly. Okay, so that's not what I want. That doesn't really help me. Okay, so yeah, no, it's definitely just a curve. What I want. This. So how do I make it read this over a longer amount of time? Well, I could just make it so that it's always from 0 to 1, and it doesn't matter because it's going to read it. It's just going to take longer to read it, isn't it? But that feels a bit arbitrary. That feels like I should encode that within the curve, shouldn't I? Can I make this longer? What are the presets? Linear, ease in, ease out, smooth step, sure, whatever. Make it constant, put it 1, put this one to 0, put another, not like that, put another point here, and put this one to 0. And make this just, oh, I can make it just, okay, well, I don't want that, but it's good to know that that can be done. Okay. How... Can I make this 2? No, 1 is maximum. That's not amazing. Oh, that's another thing I forgot to do. I forgot to set the background music to loop. It's easy, but it takes a bit. I'm not gonna do it midstream. BGM to loop. Yeah, remember that before next time. Well, actually, speaking of the background music, let's give it a little switch up. That's weird. I had a source duplicated in OBS. Right. Okay, so a little tinge of background music. I was getting tired of listening to that. So, let's see. What are we doing now? Right, I'm trying to find a way to follow this curve, aren't I? So I could get it to. I could set up a timer, right? Set up a timer and just according to that timer, follow this line, right? So when the timer reaches 0, it's 1 inside 1. When the timer reaches its max capacity, it is at 0. But like it just kind of goes along. But that means that I would have to set up a timer variable per bullet, shouldn't I? Which actually doesn't feel that bad, because sometimes I may want the same pattern but stretched out over a longer time, wouldn't I? Yeah, let's just do that. Okay, so we're gonna need that. So export variable time to curve. That doesn't feel like it explains much. What's a better variable name? Curve time. Rotation curve time, because I may want to distinguish it later from a speed curve if I end up implementing that. So yeah, rotation curve time, and let's just write a comment because that still doesn't feel very clear. Float, and this is how long it takes to read the curve, or to go through the curve. This is not necessarily reading. Okay, so now we have to rotation factor, right? We need the curve itself as a variable as well. Add export var rotation curve. How do I write that actually? It will be curve, right? Just curve. Yeah, it is. Okay, good. Curve. Okay, so it's gonna be given a curve, and it's going to take some time to read it, and then when it does, it's going to, depending on whether it's looped or not, it's going to read it again or just keep it at its last value, right? So we need to actually make that happen. Well, since there's times involved, a timer feels like a pretty obvious component that we're going to be needing. Rotation curve timer, let's see, right, timer. And this is going to be called the rotation curve timer, right? That's what this is, the rotation curve timer. And the rotation curve timer is going to hold a time, right? Whether it's one shot or not, it's going to depend on whether we're looping the rotation curve. So when you start on ready, we have to set that value, function. Ready. We're going to be setting rotation, well, yeah, sure, rotation curve timer. In the absence of a curve, if no curve is given, we should agree that we're just proceeding as if the curve is a flat line that is stuck at 1. So that is just reasonable. So if curve is not null, if rotation curve, if rotation curve is not null, it's not null, right? Then only then we're gonna have to do this, right? If there is a rotation curve given at all. So then what do we do if there is a rotation curve? If there is, we want to set the looping of this timer according to whether there is a thing. So yeah, let's just this is just so that I can have a better handle on the variable name. Put in the wrong spot. It should be here. This is just this variable name is prettier, right? That's literally all this is about. So, well, also technically it's so that if I rename this, I don't have to change it every time from here. I can just change it here. So yeah, if there is a rotation curve, then we're gonna grab this rotation curve timer and we're gonna tell it, hey, rotation curve timer. Actually, it should be just curve timer. Actually, it should be just rotation timer. That's a better name. Rotation timer. Actually, rotation timer. Your one-shot variable. Oh, yeah, I should specify. It's a timer. Your one-shot variable should be equal to the opposite of our loop variable. Because if you want it to loop, then we don't want it to be a one-shot. If we don't want it to loop, then we do want it to be a one-shot. It's the opposite, right? Then we have to start the timer, right? So rotation timer start, and you start with the number that we have in rotation curve time, right? So yeah, so we have that, right? If there isn't a curve, then it's not going to do either of these things, so the rotation timer is just simply not going to start, right? Because it doesn't have an auto start set to 1. Then. Well, let's create a new function just because that makes things easier, and this is going to be called set rotation factor. This is going to be our new function. Set rotation factor, it returns. Actually, it should return a float that is the rotation factor, and then it should be called set rotation factor. It should be called get rotation factor. Get rotation factor. And we should make it so that rotation factor equals the result from this every single physics process, right? So how do we get the rotation factor? Well, we have to check with the timer. We have to check with the timer to check what time we're at, so that we can check what x point in the curve we're going to get the corresponding y point from to be returned. So first we have to check with the timer. What does the timer say, right? So rotation timer time left, right? But that is going to be a number going from there is going to be a number that ranges from curve time to 0, right? And that's not what we want. We want a number that goes from 0 to 1, so the opposite and normalized. So first of all, if we divide this by the total time, loop rotation curve, all of a sudden we have a number that instead of going from rotation, no, it's not loop rotation curve, it's rotation curve time. Right, so this is the maximum time, right? The total time that it will take. So this number is going to be, it's the amount of time left, so it's going to go from this number to 0. This number divided by itself is 1, and 0 divided by this number is 0, so it's going to be going from 1 to 0. But we don't want it to go from 1 to 0, we want it to go from 0 to 1. So we have to take this and subtract from it that number, right? Because 1 minus 0 is 1, and 0 minus 2, and 1 minus, yeah. This is going from 1 to 0. 1 minus 1 is 0, and 0, so it's going to start at 0, and 1 minus 0 is 1, so it's going to end at 1. So this is what it's going to give us a number that goes from 0 to 1, right? So just your variable x is going to be equal to that. It's the x point on the curve. So we have the x point, we have to find the corresponding y point. I hope that this curve is easy to read that way, because actually I probably should check. How do we check curves? Add point, bake, clean loops, clear points. Get point left mode. What does this mean? Right, so this is for the points, so I don't want any of these probably. Remove point, sample. Sample? Sample? Returns the y value for the point that would exist at x position. Offset. Oh, okay, so that's easy actually. That's good. So yeah, so if I take this yeah, what did I type? Rotation curve? No, because that's the curve. That's the curve that we're following. So if rotation curve, yeah. So take this curve, sample it at point x, and that's gonna give us the y. And so that's what we want to return. Return. So from this. But we only want to do this if a curve exists at all, right? So if rotation curve doesn't equal null, do this. If it is null, then we just want it to be 1. So else return 1, 1.0, because it's a float. Because if it is 1, then that just means that it's always going to follow the rotation speed, and it's all well and good, right? So that should do it. So now we have our curve set up. Let's give it a more meaningful name. Let's call it something like quick die down, quick quick to 0, quick to 0, quick decay, sure, quick decay. Yeah, because it stays for a long time and then decays quickly. So quick decay. So we have the curve, but now we have to add that curve and those curve parameters to our bullet resource, so that they can be set from the bullet, so that the patterns can take advantage of it. So the values that we need to give to the resource are the curve itself, loop rotation curve, whether the curve should be looped, yes, and the amount of time that it takes to go through the loop, through the curve. So yeah, so it's those three. So yeah, the curve itself, which can be null, whether the curve is looped, and also this is rotation curve, whether the curve is looped, which is a yes or no, it's a true or false. And how much time it takes to go through the curve. So that's a float. And then I have to initialize those here. So Well, actually, the rotation curve doesn't need to be initialized because it can be null, so it's just going to default to null. Rotation curve loop. Rotation curve time. Are both going to equal a variable that I'm going to be calling prod curve loop, and this is going to be prod curve time, and then these are going to default to false and 0. Respectively. So okay, so that's good, and so that should be enough. And now we should be able to have, say, this this rotation bullet. It should be able to just give it a curve. So I give it this curve, and I tell it I don't want you to loop it, and I want you to take 1 second to go through it, right? And now, the effect, if everything was done right, is that we should have bullets that go straight for an amount of time, or rather the curve for an amount of time, and then start going straight after 1 second, after almost 1 second, really. Yeah, it ain't working. It doesn't seem like they're going straight after more than 1 second either. It is kind of mesmerizing to look at. Okay, so why is it not working then? The bullets are curving. There must be something in the bullet pattern. Oh no, never mind. No, it's the bullet spawner. I set those parameters on the bullet resource, but I'm not setting it to the bullet when it spawns. That's what's going on. So new bullet point rotation loop rotation. No, rotation curve. It should be just rotation curve. Rotation curve equals bullet point rotation curve, new bullet point rotation curve, whether the rotation curve is looped, bullet point rotation curve loop. That's going to bother me forever. These should be the same, so let's go to the resource. Loop rotation curve. But actually, I like this name better, so let's go to the bullet instead and change that. I like it more because they all show up as related just because they start with the same. So they look neater and it's more visibly easy to see that they are that these two variables are subordinate to this one, or they have to do with this one. So let's go to the bullet script and change this instead. What? Did I copy the wrong thing? It's this one. Loop rotation curve, yeah. And then this. Yeah, okay, that's better. And now we get to go to the thing. Yeah, it's the one that generates the bullet, so the angel. It's the bullet spawner, and it's, yeah, loop rotation curve, bullet rotation curve loop. New bullet point. Loop. Rotation curve. What was it? It's the curve and the time, right? New bullet rotation curve time. Right? And then that should do it. So bullets that rotate and then start going straight. So the beauty of this, right, is that now I can do just a curve, right? So I can do. Well, the beauty of this is that I can use it for different rotation speeds, right? Because these are just a factor of the total rotation speed. So I can make so that they rotate way more, and using the same curve, they will just stop doing it after a certain time. But I can also make something like this. Resource, and let's say that this is going to go sinusoidal. Curve. It's not going to be a perfect actual sinusoidal curve just because it's a test, but sinusoidal. Sinusoidal. Right? And so cancel. And so basically I can have like 1 point at 0, 0. Let's make it minimum value should be -1. So one starts at 0, then at 0 point. Let's see, how many points do I need? It's 5, right? So at 0.25, 0.25, it's going to be 1. Then at 0.5, it's going to be 0 again. Then at 0.75, it's going to be -1. And then finally at 0.1, it's going to be 0. So you have this sort of curve, but I want this to just go like this. And this. So it's just a bit of a sine wave, right? It's not perfect, but it's good enough. So it's just a bit of a sine wave, right? And the idea now is that I can create a new bullet. Let's see. Just create new bullet type. Resource. Bullet parameters. The parameters of that bullet. I can give it the bullet scene. Oh yeah, this is going to be wavy bullet, right? Wavy bullet. So now I can have a wavy bullet that I just give it the same bullet theme. So this one player bullet. No, not player bullet. What am I thinking? It should be enemy bullet. So I can just give it this scene. I can say, hey, I want these to be half as big, to be going like, let's say like a bit faster than the others. I want them to be rotating like way more. So let's say like 360, like 1 whole turn per second. I want them to be following the sine wave. It's curve. So they're going to be they're going to be turning left, then they're going to be turning right, then left and right. They are going to keep doing that, so they're not going to stop. And it should take a half second to do 1 loop of that, right? And then I can go to the same attack that I've been using, and I can say, hey, I wanted to have this bullet. Right, so let's just I wanted to have only this type of bullet, right? So wavy bullet should be just wavy bullets. Hell yeah, look at that. This system affords me some pretty good control over these things. Now the issue is that it's not quite aiming at the center, is it? I mean, it is. The bullets are starting with that rotation, but they're not heading there because they're moving according to that rotation, right? Which is weird, actually. Why is that the case? I feel like it should, because I started at 0, so the 0th point, they should be balanced around looking at me, right? That's odd. What's the curve looking like? Sinusoidal curve. Because it starts at 0, that's just heading straight. Isn't it? Is 0 heading straight? Yeah, 0 is heading straight. So they start heading straight, then curve to the left, then curve to the right. Oh, wait. Yeah, they curve to the left, then curve to the right. And by the time they stop curving to the right, they're just aiming to this, because this is not where they're aiming. This is how much they're curving, which is a different thing altogether. Where they're aiming is the not the derivative, the opposite, the composite. But I forget the calculus terms. But it's the area under the curve. No, that is the derivative. What am I talking about? Where they're aiming is the derivative of this. So because this is 0, right? So here they're aiming left. And here they're aiming back to the middle. So yeah, over all of this they're aiming left. Then over here it's only starting to make up for this. So the way that I would get them to point to the middle, it would be by right. They'll have to begin by pointing right, and then just sort of like this, right? I'm a math genius. Jesus, I can't believe that just worked on the first try. It's such a fucking... It's such an ego boost that. Okay, let's actually fiddle with the numbers so that they actually look. So that it's actually straight. Yeah, it has to be a cosine, right? So first position is y1. Second position is a quarter of the way in, so 0.25. It should be a y0. y0. Next position is halfway in at y minus 1. Next position is 3/4 of the way in at y0 again. And then the next position is at 1, 1. And then I have to make it so that they're actually lined up properly. Oh, Jesus. There, like that. So then it should just actually follow straight. Yeah, it's going straight enough, right? Obviously owing to a little bit of imprecision because I'm clicking and dragging these by hand. They're probably not going to be going completely straight for the player. But it's close enough that with all the movement and the chaos, it's going to be aimed at the player. Plus, there's still going to be bullets that are just straight. And just, you can imagine, this is a bullet hell kind of game, so there's not gonna be 3 in the actual game, you know? There's gonna be 20. But actually, mathematically, how do I know the direction that they're heading in? It should be the average of all the pointings, and the pointings are the derivative of this. So it starts at 1, but it's aiming to the left. Now it's starting to recover. Now over here it has recovered because this area has to be equal to this one. And then it starts aiming the other way. Right? But if it's going the other way, you sound like a bot. If it's going the other way, then it should yeah, when does it straighten up, right? So like, how do I mathematically... I should have made it so that it's the headings, actually. Because that makes it easier to think about. That makes it easier to handle. Just to sort of mentally map out where the thing is going to go, right? Rather than by rotation speed. No, but I still want rotation speed because that's what's going to give me... Yeah, let's leave it like it is. Let's leave it like it is. That's easier to code and easier to port. Right, so last thing and then I'll be done with this for today. I'm going to introduce the same system but for yeah, I'm going to introduce the same system but for speed, for straight linear speed of the bullets, right? So yeah, it's basically the same thing, right? So I go to the bullet and make it so that it can work with a speed curve, right? So which is basically the same factors. Add export variable speed factor, which is a float. Add export variable speed curve, which is a curve. Add export variable speed curve loop, which is a bool. Add export variable speed curve time, which is a float, and then these are going to basically work the same way as the others. So on ready, rotation, no, curve, speed timer equals rotation variable speed timer, which is going to be a different timer that we're going to set. The idea is that they can be both following different curves at the same time. Curve at child node, this is going to be a timer. It's going to be the speed curve timer. And then having had that, we can just define that here. This is going to be called the speed timer. And then if speed curve. I'll tell you, there's an easier way to do this. Since the names are all equivalent, I can just copy paste this, then select all these like this. There you go. Coding ain't never been so easy. And then do the same sort of here. So we're gonna need a function that's like this. And this is gonna be get speed like that. That's 120s. Speed like that. And then we make sure to call that function. So speed factor. So we're setting that variable, and then we use that variable in the speed calculation. So times speed factor. Right? And then, yeah, the value should be 1 when there is no curve. So then I gotta make it so that we can actually receive that curve, which is in the bullet parameter thing. Yeah, right here. So yeah, it's just more of the same. Like here. Speed. Right, and then just all of these variables that I'm going to need again. So rotation, rotation, rotation. Speed, and speed is just nothing. And then rather than rotation, they go. Actually, there's better ways to do this. Yeah, and then these two need to be initialized the same way. This is a bit of a pain in the ass. I wonder if it's really necessary for me to set these variables like this. I read somewhere that it was, and I just can't believe them, but honestly, if I commented all of this out, I'm not sure that anything would break. I mean, the issue is that if it doesn't break, I don't want to be emboldened by thinking that it means that it wasn't necessary, only to find that I have an error 3 months from now and I don't know what the cause is because I've forgotten that I did that, right? So really what I should do is go into documentation and actually read the why we do that, but who has time for that, right? And then we have that. So now we have to make it so that the bullet spawner knows about those values and knows how to set them. So that is on the angel, the enemy, the bullet spawner. It's basically all of these values, but for speed rather than rotation. So this. Speed. speed. And that should do it. Okay, so let's try that by creating a curve, right? By creating a bullet that just kind of pulses along, so it moves forward in just short pulses, right? So let's create a new resource. Curve. This is going to be the pulse, right? Pulse. So this is going like this, right? So it moves at this speed and then decays like that. But I wanted to go quicker. So it decays like that, but the right mode is linear or free. Really? I don't have the weighted? I just have to finagle them like this? Really? You don't get a weighted mode? But I really want it to be weighted. Okay, well, fuck it, but what the hell? Well, okay, I guess it's kind of the same, but... But it's a bit more finicky. Okay, so yeah, so it just sort of pulses along like that. So it decays and then restarts, right? That's the idea. And actually, let's just create a point here and make it so that the restart is smooth but very quick. So like that. And then we're gonna have that, so that is our pulse. And then we create a new bullet, and this is going to be the new resource bullet parameter, and this is going to be the pulsing bullet. Save it. This is just a test anyway. I'm probably going to make one a bit better later when I actually start deciding on which patterns I want to use. So then we give this bullet the scene that is for the enemy bullets. Enemy. Where is it? Enemy bullet, right there. Scale, let's say 0. Let's say just 1.1. Speed, 900. 1,000. Let's just make it 1,000. Speed curve is going to be the pulse. It's going to loop, and it should take you like 0.2 seconds to go through the curve. It should be very quick. Rotation speed should be 0 with no curve, and then these values are useless without a curve. So here's what I'm realizing. I didn't set those values properly, but, or rather not these values. I didn't add this new bullet to the attack. Yeah, it's still trying to use the wavy bullets, which means that something that I did is breaking the wavy bullets, which means that I didn't implement this right. So they're going back and forth, and I assume they're going on in the sinusoidal pattern, aren't they? Why is that? They should have no curve, right? Or that means that when I'm setting up the speed curve, that means that when I'm going to the bullet and getting the speed factor, the speed curve should be null, and so it should be returning 1 every time. And that means that the speed factor that you get from is because I told it to get rotation factor, right? That's not the one I want. I want the speed factor. For the speed. There you go. Okay, so that bullet is fixed. Let's see if the wavy one works. Wavy bullet, add it to the basic attack. Let's add them both at the same time. Sure, why not? I'm kind of curious to see what happens if I tell you to create just 10 bullets, right? What does that look like? Also, it's not the wavy bullet, it's the pulse bullet. Pulsing bullet, right here. It works, actually. Surprisingly well. Why are they not colliding with me, though? They are, they're just, like... I'm right at a sweet spot, somehow. That's weird, they go, like, right over me. That means that they're not aimed at me exactly right. That means that the pointer should be pointing at a different point. But whatever, we can deal with that later. Okay, so the pulsing bullets work. Let's just grab this pulse curve and make it a bit... just stop for a little bit longer. Yeah, so this basically gives me a really easy way to edit bullets and attack patterns that use those bullets repeatedly without having to recreate the bullet every time. So I can just create a bunch of bullets and then reuse them in a bunch of patterns without having to recreate the bullet acid. Having to enter the numbers every time, right? And this allows me, like you can see, this allows me to have like some very wacky types of bullets, like just these waves and this pulsing bullet are just like the tip of the iceberg. You can combine rotation curves and speed curves to get them to like go in all sorts of directions, right? Which allows for more fun to be had on this. Like I can just get like just this already is kind of enough to make a bullet hell game. Like, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be a particularly fun or original one, but you could design something very fun with this, right? But I also want to get more types of attacks in because it's a remake, right? I'm remaking this from scratch. I want to kind of go big, especially because I really like the art that I was given for this. Okay, so that is me done with this for now. But that doesn't mean that I'm done streaming right now because I want to do more stuff later. So I mean, what should I do, right? Should I play Dynasty Warriors or should I play Blasphemous? I kind of feel tempted to do either. I could just roll a die. Let's play Dynasty Warriors. That's the game that's gonna take harder to progress anyway. I just started Blasphemous, so I'm not as invested in it right this moment. And also I get the feeling that installing it is going to be a bit of a pain in the ass for Dynasty Warriors I already have set up. So... yes, but be right back on that one.